Good evening and welcome to Words to Action. I'm Ken Gordon. Welcome to another show where we talk about solutions, where we talk about issues that are affecting us from a political standpoint, from a civil rights standpoint, from a community standpoint, and from a social justice standpoint. First and foremost, today is Mother's Day, so happy Mother's Day to all of the mothers out there. And we appreciate each and every one of you. And to that extent, today's quote, as we do every single week on Words to Action, we give you a quote. And our quote today is, "It's not easy being a mother. If it were easy, fathers would do it." And that's a quote from the Golden Girls. And the Golden Girls is a sitcom that my little sister absolutely loves. But nonetheless, so we want to talk about mothers today. We want to talk about the evolution of motherhood on this Mother's Day. So again, we want to wish all of our mothers a very happy Mother's Day. And to each and every one of you, we thank you for being a wonderful mother, whoever you are. But we want to talk a little bit about the evolution of motherhood. And one of the things that led us to this show and wanting to do this show is a flap that happened probably a couple of 3 weeks or so ago, where a Democratic strategist made a comment about Ann Romney never having to work a day in her life. And of course, once that comment was made, the next thing that happened was Ann Romney came out and used that as kind of her opportunity to jump up on a soapbox and say, hey, I'm very proud that I'm a stay-at-home mom and I've raised kids and I've done all these different things. But the truth of the matter is, Ann Romney is out of touch with reality. Why do I say that? I say that because if you look around America, most women don't have the option anymore of being stay-at-home moms. Now, certainly there are women out there who are stay-at-home moms, and that's job number one. But in today's world and in today's economy, most women don't have the option of just staying at home and working. When you have a silver spoon in your mouth, when you have a billionaire or a millionaire husband, if you come from a millionaire family, then yeah, you can be a stay-at-home mom all day long. But the truth of the matter is that's just not the option that most of our women have. Low and moderate income women, they have to work. They don't have an option. They have to get out every single day and they have to go for job number two. Job number one is being a mother at home, taking care of the children, the family, the household. And then they go to work and do a 9 to 5, and then they come home and they cook and they clean. And this is the reality of a lot of women in America. But the other piece of it is that a lot of women in America understand that the reality is that they do have to multitask. Our first guest today, Rebecca Perrone, I think is a wonderful example of that multitasking and a wonderful example of someone who does it all. Rebecca Perrone is an elected official. She sits on the school board in Willingboro, New Jersey. She's a student. She is a mother, and she is just an all-around multitasker. So welcome to Words to Action, Rebecca.
Thank you.
How are you today?
I'm fine, thank you.
Wonderful, wonderful. Listen, so thank you for being on Words to Action today. We're talking about the evolution of motherhood. And I know that you are a mother.
Yes.
You also happen to be an elected official. You also happen to be a student. And you also happen to be someone who is very involved in the community. You're in the NAACP, as well as a number of other organizations where you're not just in them, but you're actually very involved in them. So let me start off by just asking you. You had a mother, obviously.
Yes. That's how I exist.
That's right, there you go. So from your eyes, how has motherhood changed over the last, let's say, 20 to 25 years?
Well, basically, as you said earlier, mothers have to work now. And mothers that stayed home before and raising their children, helping their children with school at home, and just basically doing the household chores, now have to do that and then some. And I say that to say, one, they have to go to work. Mm-hmm. Two, get a better education, continue their education, and just to be able to support their families. And a lot of times today, even the married families, both parents have to work. Mm-hmm. So you're starting your family and you don't want to wait until you're 45, to start a family. So you start young, mm-hmm. and that's the time when you're supposed to be building your career. Right. So it's being done simultaneously. Parents, mothers are working, going to school, such as myself, and also they're at the PTA meetings, they're involved in the community.
But okay, so I get that part. But you have these people out there like an Ann Romney who is, for all intents and purposes, very wealthy. Why isn't that their reality as well? I mean, it's tough in everybody's household. How does a woman like Ann Romney say, well, I get to stay at home and just be a stay-at-home mom? Is that, I mean, do you think that people have that that option and they just prefer to be so into the bling bling and so into having to have, you know, the BMW SUV and having to have the big house? Do they really have to work?
They don't have to work. No, they do. They have that luxury of not having to have to work. So,
well, okay, let me ask it differently. Not Ann Romney per se, but most Americans, if you will, middle and lower class. Do they really have that option, or are they just doing it to get all the bling bling and everything?
Right. Unfortunately, they don't have that option. With the way the economy is and the way we have evolved and how expensive your regular living is, you have to work. You know, like I said, both parents have to work. If it's just the single mom, definitely, you know, a lot of times she has 2 and 3 jobs, trying to just, in whatever job she is in, trying to better education, this way she can make some more money. So maybe it could be just one job. So there are a few challenges there.
So Rebecca, one of the things that I respect tremendously about you is that you are a tremendous juggler. You are an elected official. You are a student. You're pursuing your master's degree right now. And you're a mother, and you know that means that where some people would have the luxury of just kind of going home, kind of chilling out, when you get off work every day, you don't have that option. So talk for a minute about what motivates you on a day-to-day basis to keep all those balls in the air.
Well, my daughters motivate me to keep those balls in the air. I like to set the bar high, and just coming from my background, you know, I wasn't born with a silver spoon. I was the first to graduate even high school in my family. You know, I'm one of 11 children, and I want my children to see me as a role model. You know, we have so many role models on TV, such as famous stars that children look like.
Claire Huxtable.
Yeah.
I mean, are you talking about that kind of person?
Well, I'm talking about like Beyonce. You know, they see people like that on TV, and that's who they want to be. But I want my daughters to want to be like me, and in that case, I make sure that I'm dressed appropriately and I'm doing the things that I'm expecting them to do, like go to school.
So who were your role models?
My role
Beyonce.
No. I had a family member that was a role model for me. She's an educator, and I just looked up to her, and I wanted to. And she furthered her education, and she's, I think, working on her doctorates right now. But so I had her.
Talk a little bit about your mother. I know that your mother is no longer living.
Right.
Talk a little bit about the kind of person your mother was, and how that impacted the kind of person that you are.
Okay. Well, my mother, she was amazing. She came from Guatemala, and she had a few challenges. First of all, English was her third language.
Her third language?
Her third.
Okay.
She spoke Spanish and Garifuna, was her primary languages, and English.
Okay, whatever the one you just said. Okay.
Yes, and so she came to America because she had an opportunity to work at a fancy restaurant. She was a wonderful chef. And unfortunately, my mom was born with a tumor, which in Guatemala, they didn't know she had a tumor in her brain. And it prevented her from learning in school. So she was taught to be a stay-at-home mom. You know, she cooked, cleaned, and that's what she knew.
Okay.
So she used her skills to move around in America, and that's what she did. She worked at restaurants, she worked at sewing factories, and she had all these different jobs to support her family and her children, and she never quit.
But, and I want to let you get back to your mom in just 1 second, but isn't that really the reality, and the part that Ann Romney is not in touch with, is that story of your mom, isn't that a very typical story of a lot of people in America, is that they have to work however they can, wherever they can, in whatever way they can, just to survive?
Yes. It is a very typical story of the everyday mom, is what I like to call it, because the everyday mom doesn't sit at home painting nails or whatever. You know, she's working, she's home, and she's doing her own gardening, she's cooking her own food, and she doesn't have a chef in her kitchen.
Sure.
And she gets ready for school, you know, the kids for school for the next week. But that's a typical mom for today.
Now, I think it was about last week or so when we were kind of reaching out to you to talk to you a little bit about coming on our show. And I called you to invite you onto the show. And you said, "I'm sorry, Ken, but I need to call you back because I'm helping my daughter with her homework."
Right.
And I was like, wow. So how do you do it all? I mean, and the truth of the matter is, and this could be a whole show, unto itself. How do women have the ability to do all of that? What is it about a mother that makes her different or special from someone else from men, if you will?
Okay. Well, I don't mean to sound sexist, but I feel that women are designed to multitask, and even the ones that stay at home, they are paying the bills, they're managing the money, they're taking care of the household, they're involved in their child's school, so they're the educator at home,
Okay.
they're the nurse.
Okay.
If their child is sick, they need to figure out what's wrong with them before they take them to the doctor. So a mother always has very many hats in the family.
Where does the energy come from and the motivation? I mean, so you said it was your daughters that motivate you, and I get that part. But what about the energy? Okay, I mean, I go and I work an 8 or a 10-hour day. I come home, I don't have the energy to go do the homework thing and the chauffeur thing and all of that. Where does the energy come from for most mothers, do you think?
That's a good question. I just think that mothers really look at their children and want the best for them. Not that dads don't, but we're proud and we want to make sure our children are shine, basically, and we want them to live in a house that's beautiful. So we continue to just change the curtains. It's Christmas time. We're putting up all the holiday things. These things are important to mothers, that their children have this provided life for them.
So let's talk for a second about the workplace.
Okay.
How has the perception of motherhood changed in the workplace from when you first got into the workforce years ago to now? Have you seen the attitudes change towards women in the workplace?
I have. When I started working, early 2000s, when I started working, at that time, it wasn't something that women talked about. You went on a job interview, you don't really mention your children at all, because a lot of times it's thoughts that the person's having, oh, we're going to have problems, you got to leave early.
Right.
So, but nowadays, a lot of companies, women allowed to stay home. Not just women, but we have laptops, so we can take a day and work from home. If you have to take your child to the doctor, you can work it in where you can have a regular job, working in the office or wherever it may be, and still take care of your family.
What's really interesting about that? I was reading a statistic a little bit ago that said that there are over 5 million women that do just that work from home, and they're moms, but they're also actually working on a job, but they do it from home. And that number was over 5 million, and it came from a Pew research study, versus 154,000 men. So even in that particular instance, women are better suited at kind of multitasking than men are. Let me ask you this though. So you talk about the evolution of motherhood. There are challenges. So talk to me for a second about the challenges of motherhood, and then I'm going to ask you about the rewards of motherhood. So what are the challenges?
The challenges are, we're responsible. We're expected to take care of the family. Your child gets sick in school, even if dad's on the card, they call mom. It's just that's the way it is. Communication is notes sent home to mom. Very rarely do you find a teacher sending a note to dad.
So in other words, you're saying dads are being discriminated against. Okay, I'm sorry, go ahead.
No, I mean, it's just the world we are expected to be the person, to be the providers, we're the caregivers, and it's not, whether we go to work or not, it's not something that's accepted that we're allowed not to care for our children. So it's expected.
All right.
And
is that fair?
I wouldn't say it's fair. I think it's just the way it is.
Just
fair or not, it's just the way it is.
So all right. So one of the biggest challenges with motherhood is the responsibility, almost disproportionate, for caring for the children that women have versus men. And don't most men buy into that as well?
Yeah, it's expected. They choose their wife, and they're expecting that this person is going to take care of the children that they create,
and leave them alone so they can go and do the manly things.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. So talk for a second about the rewards of motherhood.
The rewards are, you see how healthy your children are, how smart they've become, how they're excellent in their lessons, or maybe they're skilled in certain areas, such as music or dance, and those are the rewards. And once they're older and gone off and done themselves, successfully and went to school, those are the type of rewards that mothers see.
So I'm going to kind of turn the corner a little bit here and kind of lay a bit of the groundwork for us, our guests coming up. But really, before I do that, you're an elected official. You're on the school board.
Yes.
What prompted you to go on to the school board and to get involved in that capacity?
Well, there was lots of problems with the education in my community, and I just needed to get involved, and I needed to get on the board and try to somehow work with the people that are there so that we can turn it around. Because I believe that if we all work together, then it's something that's possible. Very possible.
So let me lead you a little bit then, because I was actually on the school board when you first came onto the scene. And the reason you came onto the scene is because you were not happy with not just the things going on, but how it affected your children. So is it fair to say that a component of motherhood is what prompted you to get involved?
Yes, definitely. I don't know I'm pretty sure if I didn't have a child in the district, I just moved there, I probably wouldn't have never went to the school board to talk about anything. I know that there are people in the community that go to the school boards and they don't have children there. Just being my age, and if I didn't have any children, I probably wouldn't have.
So obviously, you know, motherhood has a lot of challenges. It has a lot of rewards. There are a lot of expectations placed on women. But by the same token, women are uniquely qualified to be mothers more so than men, in your opinion, and certainly in mine as well. But interestingly enough, even though we see that there's kind of that level of respect for women because of their unique ability in motherhood, women in America are under attack like they've never been before. And if you turn on certain talk radio shows and programs, there's a lot of disrespect leveled towards women. Why is that?
I believe it comes from television, the way the music has changed, and the way that women are portrayed on TV, with their bodies exposed and how it's glorified to expose your body parts, whether or not you're a mother or not. And I think the respect has gone away. You know, years ago when women wore, you know, more clothing and their bathing suits were pretty much like jackets, you know, they had more respect because of that reason, I believe.
So if you go back to the 50s and you take a look at the way women were portrayed on television in the 50s, it was a very kind of subservient way that they portrayed them. And then you kind of see that evolution over time, and you kind of go from there, and you kind of go up through, you know, the moms of the 60s and the 70s, and you look at the sitcoms. You look at One Day at a Time, and you had a single mother raising two daughters, big hit during that time. Then, you know, you kind of go up through there, and then you had Claire Huxtable, and then you have Roseanne Barr, who was, you know, the sassy, you know, non slender person, right? That kind of showed the reality of it all. Has TV really captured, in your opinion, has TV really captured the evolution of motherhood and of women fairly accurately, based on what was shown on TV then and what you see women doing now?
Oh, I absolutely not. I believe the women and mothers of today are just like myself. They're working, they have 2 and 3 jobs. And if you think about the television shows, how many mothers that are playing mothers have 2 and 3 jobs and are going to school? Even the ones that are single moms on television in their sitcoms, they're not doing these type of things. They're not at the school board meetings. They're not, you know, portrayed as a PTA mom. I haven't seen it, at least I haven't seen it on television.
Well, and you're too young to remember this, but years ago there was a sitcom called Harper Valley PTA, which really talked about a mother that was really heavily involved in the PTA and different things like that. And you're right, they don't talk about that on TV anymore. They don't talk about kind of those many different roles that women have. You don't even see a lot of elected official women in a lot of our sitcoms.
With children. I mean, you'll see elected official women becoming, you know, a lot of movies have women president and different things like that. They're in Congress, but you don't really see that they're moms, that they are doing the mom part. It's like it's kind of X'd out of their position role in their everyday life on TV. So that's not the real. I don't believe that's real.
That's not reality.
That's not reality.
And we only have a couple more minutes here, but so when you talk about the reality of women, the reality of motherhood, and we talked about the fact that women are under attack, what are some of the challenges in your mind? What are some of the challenges that women are facing, not necessarily mothers, but women are facing in today's America that they didn't necessarily face 20 years ago?
Well, some of the challenges are the respect in the workplace as far as equal, being treated as equally, and it's been known already that women do make less than men do, and they are, even if they're in a higher position of management, they're still treated less. So I think the challenge.
Let me interrupt you right there, though, because you bring up something that's really interesting. You talk about women being treated differently and less equal than others. And it brings to my mind the case down in Florida right now with the young lady that was just sentenced 2 or 3 days ago to 20 years in prison for firing a gun up in the air. Her husband was beating her. He has a history of beating her, domestic violence. She tried to use the stand your ground law, fire the gun in the air, and she's been sentenced to 20 years. Is that an example of kind of that difference, or is that kind of an isolated situation?
It's both. It's isolated. It's an isolated situation, but also, if she were a man and he felt like he was attacked, would it have happened the same way if he shot the fire in the air? I don't know. Would they have treated her differently? Would her sentence have been lighter? I'm not sure.
Yeah, and I think at the end of the day, one of the lessons here is I don't know if you can narrow it down and say it's because she was a female, or is it because she was an African American, or is it because she didn't have the same kind of means, connections, and family that other people do. But somewhere in there, there's certainly some different treatments that people are experiencing. Rebecca, thank you very much for being my guest today. I appreciate everything that you do in the community. I appreciate everything you do as a mother and everything that you do as an elected official. You have way more energy than I could ever muster in order to do everything that you do. But your children are blessed to have you, and I think you're a wonderful role model for women of today. So thank you for being here on Words to Action.
Thank you.
One of the things that is very important as we really look at this conversation of today's women and kind of the evolution of motherhood is also how women are treated. What are some of the resources for women? My next guest, Alisa Oglesgy, who is an author, a speaker, and a consultant, is someone that really gets to, I think, the crux of that. She is someone who provides resources for women, mothers, single women, etc. And we're excited to have her here today to talk a little bit about her company, what she does, and the kinds of resources that she provides to women. So, Alisa, welcome to Words to Action.
Thank you. It's a pleasure to be here.
All right, wonderful, wonderful. So, Alisa, talk to me a little bit about Alisa Oglesgy, who you are, and exactly what it is that you and your company or your organization, what you do.
Okay, to give you a bit of background about Alisa Oglesgy, of course, I am a boomer woman who worked in corporate America for over 20 years, left there because I always wanted to have my own business, started several businesses, but from there saw a void in other avenues that women need to be educated, enlightened, and inspired as it relates to being an active, productive woman in the 21st century.
Okay. So, inspired. What were the other two?
Educated,
motivated. Okay. So what is the name of your organization?
OMG Women United is the name of my organization.
OMG Women United.
Yes.
Does the OMG stand for anything?
It does. It can stand for Oh My God, Oh My Goodness, and Oglesby Marketing Group, which will never go out of style.
Okay. All right. Great. All right. So OMG, because I'm just thinking about my daughter who texts me all the time, and she uses. I didn't know she was texting me about your company, though. But anyway.
But that's a good thing because we are here to inspire and motivate women and girls. So your daughter would also benefit for some of our trainings and seminars.
Why do women need to be, I mean, you said a void. Why do women need to be inspired and motivated?
Because we need to make sure, number one, our voices are heard. Number two, we need to know Where are the resources for us? There are a lot of different situations that are totally unique to women. It could be from raising children to getting adequate pay to finding out where do I need to go just to stand up for my own legal rights.
Okay. And those are unique to women, you think?
They are definitely unique to women.
Okay.
I know.
All right. So when you go out and you kind of do what you do, how do the men handle that? I mean, what do men say about OMG and all the resources that you bring? Have you gotten are they welcoming? Are the men like, oh, this is a good thing, yes, or are they not?
Well, a secure man would definitely welcome everything that
Yes, we do. Yes, we absolutely do.
Because as a result of that, with a secure man like you and many others, you will know that the country, the world, the community is as strong as the women who are around here.
So when you said that, it kind of made me think about something, and we're going way off topic right now.
That's perfectly fine.
So how has having a strong African American woman like Michelle Obama, how has that inspired you, and do you find yourself using that in your discussions with women?
Well, first and foremost, I'd like to give a lot of praise to First Lady Michelle Obama. However, Michelle Obama is like a lot of my friends and a lot of other women around that I know. But what makes it even better, she graces herself under pressure. And a lot of us sit back because she's always under fire. She's always under criticism.
Right.
So no, what that has done really is, number one, said, she can do it, so can we. We've always been doing it, to be honest with you. We just have not had the national platform in order to make the general population see our capabilities.
So you indicated that you're a boomer.
Yes, I am.
Okay. So what have you noticed? What has changed? And we talk about the evolution of motherhood.
Yes.
What has changed for mothers and for women in the last, let's say, 20 to 30 years?
A lot has changed for women and mothers over the last 20 years. First of all, as a boomer woman, a lot of us have our master's degrees or undergraduate degrees, number one. We're working, we're in corporate America. We are having the issue of work-life balance. That is something different. And so those are some of the things.
Let me stop you there.
Yes.
You said you're having the issue of work-life balance.
Absolutely.
Okay, expound upon that a little bit more. What does that mean?
Okay, basically, let's take a level. Let's start with corporate America. First of all, how many women are in C-level positions? Very little. Statistics have shown less than 3 or 5% of women are actually in the C-level positions. We have the education, we have the experience, but we're not there. Why? Because we have children. A lot of times what happens, you have to have a child, take time off, go back to work. The status quo is not looking at that very favorably. If you're working as a mother who's making minimum wage, you have to work 3 or 4 different jobs in order.
Now hold on. Let me stop you right there, because Ann Romney says that there's a lot of stay-at-home moms, and and that's a good thing. So I say she's out of touch with reality. I'm listening to you talk, and you're talking about low and moderate income women that have to get out and work. So are you suggesting to me that that's not the world that Ann Romney comes from?
I am saying absolutely not is not the world that she comes from, because a lot of ladies, especially in our communities, they don't have that luxury. They're working 2 or 3 jobs just to make ends meet. So no, what else are we going to do?
I was reading a comment from an article today, and the gentleman was talking about the fact that he lives in a very affluent neighborhood where the majority of the women there do not work. They are stay-at-home moms. And let me be really clear. I recognize that stay-at-home moms have a job.
Absolutely.
I recognize that it is a very difficult job. And I also recognize, I was reading a study today, that 79% of men prefer to work outside of the house. And there's a reason for that. Yes. We run.
Yes.
No doubt about that. Is that the exception, not the rule, that you have that kind of community that the man described? Is that typical of America? In your opinion?
In my opinion, no, it's not typical of America, especially in our communities. We talked about our low to moderate sisters.
Mhm.
We can even talk about our sisters with degree, great jobs, etc. Oftentimes, we still have to work in order to afford our children and families the luxuries. And when I say luxuries, I'm even talking about creating wealth. It's
Okay.
going to take those two family incomes because if you think about it, women, we still make less than men. That's a big push right now. For every dollar that a man makes,
Mhm.
there have been studies showing from 65 cents to 81%. So if that's happening to the general population, imagine how few money that is for the average moderate to middle class woman.
So let me ask you this. Why then, when Hillary Rosen made the comment, and then Ann Romney came back and jumped all over it, and they went to President Obama and they wanted him to apologize, and Michelle Obama sent a tweet out. Why that reaction? If it's really the reality that most people, that most women do have to work outside of the home, do have to have two jobs, the first one being a homemaker and the second one being whatever else it is. Why then did not more people identify with that? But it seemed like more people kind of felt sorry for Ann Romney.
Well, naturally they would. That was just a great political ploy. Now let's think about everything else that has been going on. So that was finally something that they could say and twist things around.
Okay.
Because that is definitely not the reality of most women.
So then, do you understand what Hillary Rosen was trying to say, or?
Oh, absolutely, absolutely. Not having. I mean, you can go and buy $1,000 T-shirt, as Ms. Romney did.
Oh, I don't have $1,000.
So for a lot of us, I mean, that's the money for our children's
Right.
college. That could be rent for several
Sure.
months, or it could be other things. But to spend $1,000 on a shirt, a
Mhm.
T-shirt.
It seems to me, if you take a look around America, it seems to me that women as a whole, and I discussed this with our first guest a few minutes ago, who's actually an elected official, it seems to me that women are under attack. You listen to Rush Limbaugh, and the ignorance that he puts out there, and just this past week, he had some very disparaging comments about Hillary Clinton, our Secretary of State.
Yes.
He had some very disparaging comments about women as a whole. Why is that tolerated? Why do people allow that kind of very negative attacks on women to go on? Why is that? And do women really notice that when it comes to the political process? Do you think women are going to remember that?
First of all, yes, women are going to remember this when it comes to the political process. But why do women allow this? Well, actually, again, our voice, we need to come together and say no. If you look at what's going on, let's look at the cause and the effect.
Mhm.
Basically, the status quo, the men, the
Mhm.
good old boy network,
Mhm.
is really becoming a minority.
Mhm.
Recent studies have shown that 52% of the population are females.
Okay.
So as a result of this, they're like, okay, what can I do? I'm going to have to do something to keep women away from the political process,
Mhm.
keep women, again, without the correct pay,
Mhm.
because they know our strength is their fall.
Okay.
So what are women doing about it? That's one of the reasons for starting OMG Women United. We also need to cross-collaborate with other organizations in order to have a stronger voice. Let's look at who controls the media. I mean, less than 3% of in key position are women. Let's look at our federal courts. And sorry to go on, but all of this is extremely important. Let's look from a political perspective. How many women are in elected positions? Okay, there's a big push for that now.
So let me, and you bring up a number of very, very, very interesting points, and I wish I could get to all of them, but I can't. But I'm going to kind of back up for just 1 second, and let's get to OMG.
Okay.
So you've identified a number of different areas, and we want to talk about solutions, right?
Absolutely.
So how does OMG help provide solutions to some of those issues?
Okay, One of the ways OMG provides solutions is, number one, we teach small business startups.
Okay.
We teach them basic marketing, selling skills. What do you do for an LLC? How do you go through those particular steps in order to start creating economic development empowerment?
Okay.
That's one of the things we do. Another thing we do, we mentor young girls. It's giving them experience and exposure, placing them around women who are in the corporate arena, women who own their businesses.
Okay.
Also, especially as a boomer woman, she's a part of the sandwich generation. What are some resources for her? We talked about working. They want to keep their jobs. They are raising a family, but yet you've got your aging parents in the middle. So what are some services for that particular group? So we go out, because I used to own a home health care agency, we go out and educate women and provide resources for them.
So I see that you have a couple of books on your lap.
Yes.
And I'm guessing you brought them for a reason. I'm not sure if you're going to sit over them to make yourself taller, or if you, if you want, or if you need to talk about them. So talk to me about the books in your lap.
Well, yes. Well, basically, these two books, and this is something else. One of the things about it,
turn it towards the camera here.
How to think instead of what to think. That's a sense of empowerment right there.
Okay.
The first book is Empowering Transformations for Women. This is a collaborative effort where multicultural, multi-generational women got together to share their stories.
Okay.
The reason we are doing that is to, there may be somebody who's like, oh, I don't know where to turn. No one's hearing me. They will read this and see how other women have overcome their challenges in life.
Now, if I'm not mistaken, I think, is it the story of about 40 women?
This is one with 40 women, yes.
Okay, see, I do my homework.
You definitely do your homework.
So it's called Empowering Transformations for Women. Empowering Transformations for Women, compiled by Sue Erda.
Yes.
And Kathy Filer. Is that right?
Yes.
Okay. All right. So great book. I read some of the reviews about it, and I actually read some of the stories on some of the women. It is a phenomenal book. And the next book.
This particular book, Women Living Consciously, was actually launched on May 1st of this year. This time there were 47 women, and basically.
So you could have quizzed me on that. I would have known that.
Oh, well, okay, next time.
I believe there are 47 women, are there not?
You're absolutely correct,
yes.
Mr. Gordon. Perfect. But most importantly, there is a different way of living now. We're becoming more consciously aware of our worth, our voice, and our power.
Okay.
And we're going to use economic empowerment, political empowerment, and spiritual maturity in order to make a difference in this world.
So let me just tell the audience here: Women Living Consciously, real stories of women living on purpose with passion, empowered. And it is compiled again by Sue Erda and Kathy Filer as well. So a couple of excellent books for you to pick up. I want to take you in a different direction because you kind of said something, and I want to tease it out a little bit in the last couple of minutes we have. One of the things that I recognized, and my previous guest, Rebecca Perrone, is an elected official. She sits on the school board in Willingboro, New Jersey. When she got involved in the process, one of the things that was missing from the process is classes, if you will, organizations that go out and prepare women for political life. Okay. Now, I heard that there's something like that up at Rutgers somewhere up north. But the truth of the matter is, this is something that is a nationwide thing. So we have viewers all over the country that tune into Words2Action. So talk for just a second about the need to have some organization that trains women for political life.
Well, actually, there is one. It's called the White House Project. This is actually a nationally known organization, and basically they're targeting young women between the ages of 21 and 35 or 36, I believe.
Okay, it's called the White House?
White House Project. So please go online.
Is it partisan?
Nonpartisan, no, absolutely, it's nonpartisan. In addition to that, there's something right across the bridge in Philadelphia. And I'm bringing this up because although it was started in Philadelphia, it has a national appeal. It's called Vision 2020.
Okay.
And basically what we're doing is mobilizing people to get women to
Mhm.
get out to vote. But let's look at it again. Vision 2020.
Mhm.
That's 8 years from now. That's the centennial of the 19th Amendment that actually gave women the right to vote.
Okay. Okay.
So, and that's a national appeal.
Okay. All right. So OMG provides resources to women. You go out and do public speaking. You do seminars. How do people get in contact with you if they want you to come in and do trainings or seminars?
Okay, for workshops, trainings, seminars, group discussions, they can contact us at OMG Women United. They can follow us on .com.
Okay. .com.
They can follow us on Twitter.
Mm-hmm.
And they could like us on Facebook. And again, it's OMG Women United.
OMGWomenUnited.com.
Yes.
And one more time, some of the resources that you provide to women.
Okay. Workshops, seminars, training, specifically boomer issues. That could be reinvention, reemployment, small business ownerships, grief, losses, and divorce.
Okay. Okay. Wow, that last is a big one, divorce. So you have workshops that help women how to deal with. You have workshops to help women understand how to deal better with divorce.
Yes, navigating the legal system, your rights as a woman, things you should ask your attorney, things you should ask the courts, things you should prepare for before you actually go down that line. Because again, you want to protect your assets as much as possible.
Absolutely, absolutely. Wow, a wealth of information, a lot of things that you all offer to women as resources, and obviously to mothers on the whole. I appreciate you being with us today, and again, as I said to my previous guest, I have no idea where you get all the energy from to do all of this, but certainly it is something that is very, very much so needed. I did look, I think last week, at a study that showed the disparity in income between men and women that still exists. I know President Obama actually has done a tremendous job with moving some legislation forward to try to even that out as well. And you want to comment on that very quickly, I can see.
No, go right ahead.
No.
You're doing a great job. You're doing a great job.
He has done a great job in that, and he's very sensitive to that. So I think that's a wonderful thing. OMGWomenUnited.com. And then the books are also on there as well?
Yes, they are.
Okay, wonderful.
And I may add, whenever someone orders from the website, basically solution-oriented, we're giving a portion of all proceeds to women in transition.
Well, I think that's very important, absolutely. So a portion of the proceeds go to women in transition.
Absolutely.
That's a wonderful thing. Alisa, thank you so much for being on Words to Action. I appreciate you coming on our show and sharing resources that women have available, and certainly we will do everything we can to point women towards OMG and the wonderful work that you all are doing.
Thank you very much. It was a pleasure being here.
Thank you for being here with me. So as you can tell, there are resources out there for women, and there are things that women can do, whether it's political, whether it is within the community, or whether it is educationally. But the bottom line is it's really all about understanding where to go and get certain resources. Now, one of the things that we want to talk a little bit about for a few moments with my next guest, who is Tia Sanders, is we want to talk a little bit about kind of the evolution of the family over the past several years. And Tia is with a company that is the Crossroads program.
Yeah.
And she actually is a licensed clinical social worker. And she works very specifically with the foster care program. And Tia, welcome to the show today. I appreciate you being on Words to Action, so thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
So let's talk for just 1 second about, and again, happy Mother's Day, but let's talk for 1 second about the Crossroads program, what they do, and what you do for them.
Crossroads Programs is a nonprofit organization located in Willingboro, New Jersey.
Hang on just a second. Woo-woo. Okay, I'm sorry, go ahead.
Located in Willingboro, New Jersey, our mission is dedicated to working with abused, abandoned, and at-risk youth, providing them with resources and support so that they can lead healthy and productive lives. We have a variety of programs, residentials, group homes, transitional livings, and specifically, I'm the program director for Community Care for Kids Network, which is our therapeutic foster care network, where we provide out-of-home placement services for children who have been displaced. and also Second Chance Homes, which is our Mommy and Me program. Or if there's a dad, we haven't had a teen dad yet, but it's for under 18 years old, where teen moms or dads can reside in a caregiver's home and receive support services, parenting skills, room, board, where they can learn to rear their children in healthy, productive ways.
So that was a mouthful, okay? a lot in there, but let me kind of go way back for 1 second. Help us understand the significance of May relative to what you do.
May is National Foster Care Month.
Okay.
And Foster Care Month started in recognition of parents and foster parents who have been working with this population. In 1988, President Bush actually made it a national forum. But in the 90s, they started focusing more on the youth and preparing them for transition. For many children are in the system. From right now, there's about 500,000 children who are displaced and throughout the country who are in foster care. In New Jersey, the Advocates for Children in New Jersey, Kids Count New Jersey, just did a survey that 1 out of every 10 children in New Jersey are in some sort of out-of-home placement.
So let me interrupt you for a moment there, because I want to try to bring clarity and clear up kind of confusion, miscalculation. When most people hear the word foster, or the two words foster children, there's a perception that they get in their mind. And I want to talk about that perception for a moment, but I'm sure you run into that on a regular basis. So talk for a moment about the perception, and then talk to us about the reality.
The stereotypical version of foster care, to be perfectly honest, is,
no, you can lie.
is that traditionally...
Hang on 1 second. We don't lie on Words2Action. I'm sorry, go ahead.
It's from an urban environment, traditionally African Americans, the crack baby or crack mother, and that they couldn't take care of them, and that's why they're in the foster care system. Our children have been exposed to abuse and neglect, and it's all children. It's not an African American epidemic. We have children from every race, every nationality that have been displaced. They may be displaced because of the traditional abuse and neglect, but that may come from a place of a challenge and stress on a parent. I don't think that any parent would want to intentionally harm their children, but because of what they're dealing with and not having support services in place, they unintentionally harm their children. Other times, like for our programs in treatment homes, our youth have emotional and behaviorally challenged because they may be dealing with some mental health issues, and their parents may love them dearly, but they need some support services and able to support them. Our Mommy and Me program, Second Chance Homes, it may be that the young lady got pregnant. Doesn't mean that she doesn't have a family that loves them, but they may need some additional resources to help this young woman rear up the next generation in a healthy, productive manner.
So does this perception, this stereotype that's out there, does that negatively impact your placement abilities?
Yes, because we need a diverse population of persons who are willing to open up their homes. And if the perception is that these are quote unquote bad kids, or that they come from such dysfunctional families, then they're hesitant to take the children into their home, where all children need an opportunity to grow in a normalized environment. And if they can't be in their own homes, they need people who have a heart for children and to understand them and to give them an opportunity to address some of the traumas and abuse that they've been through. So
as a licensed clinical social worker, you say a whole lot of words that totally don't connect with me. All right, just so we're clear.
Okay.
So help me understand, kind of give it to me, on a Ken Gordon level, right? Okay. When you talk about emotionally challenged and mentally challenged, what does that mean?
Emotional and behavioral challenge means that something traumatic has happened to the child, whether they lost a family member, whether they were displaced because mom or dad didn't have housing, and so as a result, DIFAS had to come involved and take them from their home. And as a result, if you dealt with a trauma where you were removed abruptly from what you knew to be home, you might start to act out too.
Okay.
And so our children don't know how to express the hurt and the loss that they dealt with, and without support services saying it's okay for you to grieve, it's okay for you to acknowledge that you love your mother and you may never see her again, they begin to act out in emotional ways. They begin to not be able to function appropriately in school.
All right, I'm actually glad you said that because I wanted to hit on that for a second with the schools. Are your average school districts, do most of the school districts around the state have the capabilities to effectively deal with the kids that are in your program?
It depends on the school and it depends on the school district.
Mm-hmm.
Many of our children who are in treatment homes are classified. So they have some type of classification, maybe emotionally disturbed, meaning they need some additional support services.
Mm-hmm.
And in a traditional setting, normal classroom setting, many classrooms in certain environments, it's a challenge for any child to be able to function.
Mm-hmm.
But if you're dealing with the fact that you were just displaced from your own home, you may not know where your mother is, and you don't know where your siblings are,
Mm-hmm.
you can't focus on basic math, reading, and writing.
Sure.
And so you need some additional support services. So some school districts are good at working with our youth. Others need some more support, and they need advocates for them. And that's where a foster parent can come in place and really advocate for the services that a child would need.
So let's talk for 1 second about foster parents then, because at the end of the day, that's really what this is about for you, is trying to find foster parents.
Yes.
Now, it's my understanding that you all are having a challenge trying to find enough foster parents for the number of kids you have in your program at the local level in your program. Is that right?
Yes.
Okay. So what is it that, what can we do? What can people listening do to help out those kids that need the help?
If you have room in your heart and room in your home to let a child come into your home, you can reach out to us and find out how to become a foster parent.
Okay. So let me stop you. How do they reach out to you?
You can contact me at 609-880-0210 or by our website.
Now, you know you can't do that. You know how this works. Okay, so let me ask you that again. 609
880
02
0210.
Okay, and that's your phone number.
That's our office.
Your office, okay. So they can call your office to get more information about becoming a foster parent.
Yes.
Or they can go to a website, I'm assuming.
Yes.
And that website is?
www.crossroadsprograms.org.
Okay. www.crossroadsprograms.
Yes, with an
plural?
S.
Okay.
Yes.
Programs.org. Okay. What is the profile of a good foster parent?
They have to be at least 21 years of age to work with us.
Okay.
Have some experience working with children in any capacity. So you could be a volunteer, you could be a coach, you can be a parent. Have some knowledge of understanding or willing to learn about the needs of the youth. And also have an unconditional kind of love, meaning that these children are going to have some challenges, but
Sure.
you have to have some stamina to be willing to work with our children.
Do you all offer any training for people who are interested?
Absolutely. We offer a 16-hour course prior to even becoming a foster parent, just to see if to give you information on understanding the behaviors of children with emotional behavior challenges, how to be a professional and work with and advocate and navigate the system. And then while you're with us, if you come on board, you receive 12 hours of training minimum a year for ongoing training.
So let me backtrack for just 1 second because we only have about 15 seconds left. But if they're interested in becoming a foster parent, or they know someone who is, they have room in their heart, room in their homes, then they can contact you at www.crossroadsprograms.org, or they can call the office, which is in Willingboro, New Jersey, at 609 880
0210.
0210. May is National Foster Care Month, and we will certainly pass the word and do everything we can to let people know that we need more more foster parents out there. My mouth is not working today. Anyway, listen, Tia, thank you so much for being with us today. I appreciate it. So we appreciate Tia being on here, and the truth of the matter is that there are, in fact, there is a need for more foster parents. We have, as Tia indicated, over 500,000 children who are in need of someone with a big heart that can help them navigate their way through the challenges that they have faced. You know, it's very interesting. Many of us face dramatic or traumatic situations in our lives, loss of loved ones, or any number of different things. And as adults, many of us don't handle that really well. Imagine about a child. Imagine about a teenager, someone that is still not fully developed mentally and is still learning how to cope. We appreciate Tia being here. We appreciate the Crossroads program for all that they do, and we encourage each and every one of you to please reach out if you know someone who's interested to the Crossroads program. We also appreciate Alisa Oglesby and her OMG Women United organization. We thank her for being on today, and we also thank our special guest, Rebecca Perrone, an elected official and a talented woman as well. When we think about what it is that a solution, if you will, or what we want to leave everyone with today, what we want to leave you with at the end of the day is that it is necessary to inspire, to motivate, to educate our young women. Certainly our women need to be inspired and motivated and educated as well, but if there was an action item that I could give to everyone sitting there and watching right now, it would be find a young person, a young lady, and encourage her, inspire her, motivate her, be a role model to her. As you heard from our guest, Ms. Peron, her mother and her family, they were her role models. Not Beyonce, not, I don't know, whoever else, but it was your family. And the truth of the matter is your family is often the people that make the most difference in the world. To that extent, and speaking of family, I want to dedicate today's show to a very, very special woman, and her name is Addie B. Kelly. Addie Kelly is my grandmother, and she passed away last year. My mother was with her when she passed away, and my mother is the strongest woman that I know. She is an awesome, awesome woman, and she is truly the kind of a woman that the world could learn from. Addie Kelly, my grandmother, we called her Mother Dear. She is the second strongest woman that I know. And I want to dedicate my show to her today because of the specialness and the gift that she gave to the world in the person of Shirley Gordon, who is my mother. The last thing I want to leave you with today when you start talking along the lines of action items and things we could do at the end of the day is it is very important that we provide support to women as entrepreneurs, as business people, as potential elected officials. Because when you talk about Mother's Day, when you talk about honoring your mother, we have to stop doing it by sending a Hallmark card, a mahogany card. We have to start doing it with our actions. We have to not allow those people out there who are denigrating women, whether it is on a radio show or on a rap record, we have to say no more. These are our women and we're not going to tolerate it. So that is something that we've got to do if we really, really want to honor our mothers, if we really, really want to honor our women, then we have to make Mother's Day last the entire year, and we have to say no to the denigration and disrespect of our women in every community. I'm Ken Gordon. This has been Words to Action. I appreciate you being with us. Have a wonderful week.